my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and you're listening to Catechist Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.catechist.com. And tonight our special guest is lead singer, rapper Tony Lucas from the band We Are Band Nerds, based out of Dallas, Texas. Is that correct, Tony?
That's correct.
Now, I got to tell you, Tony, if your publicist has not sent me a press release about you guys and a digital link for your debut, for your album, Forget Me Not, I probably would have checked out the band for a simple fact that you're talking to a guy that typically listens to hard rock and metal. But I will tell you, I'm kind of very excited to be talking to you. I'm glad I kind of discovered the band because, like I said, if I didn't do this, probably I've never heard of you guys. What I dig is, again, I'm not typically into rap music, but what I dig about what you guys do is there is a bit of a metal element to what you do. And I dig the fact that unlike a lot of rap acts, there seems to be like a lot of musicality to what you guys do, where you got an actual band besides just one guy rapping, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And so let me ask you, were you more into rap or metal when you were coming up? I was just kind of curious.
Well, me personally, I was actually more into, when I first just really got into music, it was jazz at first.
Oh, wow.
I started listening to.
Wow.
And I think it was influenced by my father. And because he listened to a lot of like early like smooth jazz from the 80s, 90s and stuff like that. So that was my introduction to music. And then when I started getting into more heavily into music, I started out with hip hop. I heard rock, a lot of hard rock from like the early 2000s with people like System of a Down, Papa Roach, groups like that. But nobody really introduced it to me. So it was, and all my friends were more or less listening to hip hop. It wasn't until I was late teens, early 20s when I was introduced to rock. And I fell in love with it. Then I got really big into like 90s alternative and grunge.
Wow.
And stuff like that. So that's when I got introduced to rock music, and I've been in love with it ever since. Yeah,
because listening to some of your guys' stuff, it reminds me of like there's definite kind of Deftones thing going on there, influence in there. I hear a little bit of maybe Stuck Mojo. They were another metal rap act. So I think what you guys are doing is really cool. Now, who were some of your favorite rap acts when you were coming up? Like you mentioned, you first got into jazz. So do you remember what was the first rap artist you really got into?
The first rap artist I got into was Busta Rhymes.
Oh, cool. And
the reason being is because like he was very animated, and I loved to watch him perform live. By comparison to any other rapper, like his live show is amazing, and it's one of the people I look up to. As far as live performance is concerned, because he's just a wild dude, and he doesn't even have a band. So I've always been impressed with that. So Busta Rhymes, that's.
Well, now I was curious. I seen a lot of guys, when I was growing up, like just you walking down the street and you see people like in these little rap contests where one guy would be kind of shouting out to another guy. And have you ever taken part in anything like that?
Yeah, it's actually one of the reasons I got into rap in the first place, because I used to. I didn't start out rapping. I started out like beatboxing for people.
Oh, okay.
And they would like freestyle when I was beatboxing. And eventually, I was kind of coaxed into battling someone, and I didn't know how to rap at all at the time.
Yeah.
But it turned out that what I tried to do, like it got some applause from the crowd. So I just kind of stuck with it, and then I just got more serious over time. So yeah, I have done like battles and stuff like that.
How cool is that? I mean, like to do something like that and just kind of be in the moment and having fun, and then kind of realizing, hey, I'm actually kind of good at this. Wow, I didn't even know I could do this. Yeah. And you say like a lot of guys, you started out when you did start out rapping, you started out like with a beatbox. So what was the point when you decide, okay, not only am I going to try to do this musically, but I'm going to actually try to put a band together to kind of back up what I'm doing?
That didn't come until I was introduced to rock, mostly by the other lead, Brandon Cross.
Okay.
I've known him for a while, and he grew up listening to a lot of hard rock.
Wow.
As well as rap, but he listened to a lot of hard rock and metal and stuff like that, especially of the late 90s, and Linkin Park, Papa Roach, all those groups and stuff like that. So that he's heavily influenced by that.
Wow.
And he knew he always wanted to be in a band, but our band originally started out as kind of like a neo-soulless rap fusion at first, because we had an R&B singer in our group at one point.
Wow.
So it was like completely different from what it is now. And as you know, some members had left. Brandon Cross decided that he wanted to sing.
Wow.
And he asked me, "Hey, do you think I should sing? Because we don't have our singer anymore." I was like, "Sure." And he always wanted to do rock or incorporate rock music. And so we kind of stumbled and found our way. And then once we kind of gauged or found out what we were doing was kind of a genre like nu metalish in a way.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's when we found our sound. We kind of honed into what we're trying to do. So that's what happened with that.
See, and what I dig about that is, like, when I go to see a live show, no matter what the band is, like I want to be entertained, if you know what I mean. It's much more entertaining having a whole band up there than just a guy, one guy trying to entertain everybody. And I think, now let me ask you, because like you mentioned, there's a new metal influence kind of to what you guys do. Like, does the guitar player, does he solo or anything, or does everybody kind of get a chance to, like, does the drum solo do a drum solo, or do you guys kind of just stick with performing the songs?
We've actually incorporated a little bit more of that.
Oh, okay.
It's funny because the way that we approach live shows now, we approach it from a DJ's standpoint.
Okay.
So we kind of mix and blend songs in a way that a DJ would on a live set.
Oh, okay.
We're just kind of a hybrid like that, where we have elements that are obviously rock, but we incorporate things that come from like a hip hop DJing background that you wouldn't necessarily see in a rock show. But we try to incorporate both things and play both sides of the table.
See, what I dig about what you guys are doing is, like I said, I'm a guy who typically listen to hard rock and metal, but this is a band I could get into. This is a band I think I could introduce people to, say, even though you're not really into necessarily into rap, give us a listen, because there's definitely a rap influence. There's no doubt about that. But like I said, I listened to all the songs on the album, and there's like it's structured like a regular kind of rock song would be read. You got the lyrics, you got the instrumentation, and I really, now let's talk about some of the songs. Like one song on there really stood out to me was "American Trash." Do you want to discuss a little bit about what that song's about?
Sure. American Trash has everything to do with more or less the people, I guess you can say, the forgotten man, I guess.
Wow, okay.
Or the people who just don't necessarily choose the path that society wants them to go down. And because of that, they're looked at as the outcast, or the people who, just don't follow the tropes that a society wants to put on you.
Yeah.
That's really what American Trash is all about, and kind of the anthem for those people. Because in a lot of ways, we feel like that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, this isn't a show where we typically get into politics, but I was kind of curious, kind of based on what you were just talking about there. What do you think about these, like when you listen, again, like I said, when I'm watching even if it's just a TV show, or I go to see a live concert, I want to be entertained. And I mean, you look at something like the Oscars that was on TV last night. To me, that's supposed to be a celebration about the movies and giving these people awards. And then like they're saying, last night's show was one of the poorest rated Oscar shows ever, for the simple fact that you have all these rich people get up there on stage and are kind of doing their PC, scolding at these rich actors and that, and they're talking about what their personal beliefs are, and you better think like me, or you're a bad person. I mean, what are your feelings on that? Because I kind of talk a little bit about what you said about American Trash. You got these people just thinking that they need to scold the world with their beliefs.
Yeah. It's one thing to scold, and it's another thing to, I think, just provide your beliefs or ideas, but I think there's a time and place for it.
Yeah, it kind of.
Some people might. I think it's become commonplace now in big events in our society, to where I have to say something political because the current administration and that I don't happen to like, so I have to say something. And I don't know if that's necessarily, like, it's become kind of cliche for people to do that now.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not even. I don't even care. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to
I was
interrupt.
going to say, I do believe that there is a time when you should say something.
Yeah.
But what you're saying about someone, like if you just don't like the person, then that's one thing. Like, cause but if there's like things that are actually affecting people, I think that's when you should say something, regardless of who's in there.
Yeah.
Just be a hypocrite and place for a team.
Yeah. I mean, it's something along the lines like I don't really care what side politically somebody's on. Like my philosophy in life is just treat people how I want to be treated. Doesn't matter who you're talking about. I mean, more what I'm talking along the lines like even something like when I watch an NFL game, I don't really care about who wants to take a knee or what they think about the national anthem. I just want to watch the game. You know what I mean? I mean, like you said, maybe they can make do a 2-second commercial on their belief or whatever. But like you said, there's a place and time. But now, as far as your music, kind of what we've been talking about, the political state of the world, do you like to use your music kind of to get your views out there? Or you ever get political in the songs? Because again, this is statement you're making, in your music, I think. So that would be the proper place, I think, to do that.
Oh yeah, no question. It's something that we address whenever we feel it's necessary to, but it's not. We're not exact. We wouldn't call ourselves we're not a Rage Against the Machine. We're not a political band.
Yeah.
A lot of our songs deal with everyday life that everybody can relate to. More so, and like relationships, dead end jobs, not getting paid enough, wishing that you were in a better place than you were. More or less motivational music. And I think that translates to anyone, regardless of Democrat, Republican, American, Japanese, whatever. Anybody can relate to those ideas. But we do get political every now and then, but it's not the major component of our music. So.
I mean, like I said, this is that's the place to do it because again, I would hope like all these songs on your album, but they're things that you've either like maybe lived through or things you believe in, because again. This is like any band puts out an album. I kind of think that's like the latest chapter in these guys' lives. This is kind of what they've been going through, maybe the last year and a half, or whatever the case, may be. And now another song I really dug on there was "Whore." Talk a little bit about that because I kind of like the overall sound of the thing, and I wasn't necessarily listening for a message. I just thought it was a great sounding song, and it kind of like I said, it served its purpose. It really entertain me, if you will. Yeah.
Horror. Well, that's one of the first songs that we created for the album, and horror is more or less kind of an anthem to just be you after you've been burned in a relationship. You kind of just don't want to do the relationship thing anymore. You just kind of want to play the field, sleep around, I guess you could say. So just kind of taking that word and kind of making it a form of empowerment. As opposed to a negative word.
Wow. And now, like you mentioned at the top interview that you have a second lead singer in the band, the other being Brandon Cross. Now, how do you guys choose who's going to sing what? Is it just a matter that he sings the stuff he writes and you sing the stuff you write, or does it just depends who has a better, that maybe song you wrote might fit his voice better, or how do you guys go about doing that?
Well, he's the main singer, so I kind of do backup vocals. I'm mainly the rapper in the band. I do backup vocals and stuff live.
Okay.
So I'll help out with like hooks and stuff now and then, and I'll help with writing, parts of the song and portions of the song. But all in all, Cross definitely handles the singing aspect, and the hook writing aspect and stuff like that. I sometimes help.
And so on that aspect, I was kind of curious. Like, do you him typically, like when you are writing for an album, do you guys get together and do you kind of write your parts and he writes his part, or is it more like since you're the rapper guy, you come up with the rap and then he writes the lyrics for the rest of the song?
It's kind of like that. We normally start production first, so we create like instrumentals and stuff like that. I'll create stuff. He'll create stuff. He'll come up with hooks for the ideas that I've created. I'll come up with melodies and ideas that he's created, and we'll kind of work together in order to build as far as lyrics and stuff like that. He writes his own raps, I write my own raps and stuff like that. And sometimes I'll help with hooks.
Okay, okay.
And that's kind of how we work.
And now when you guys get ready to start demoing, like I was wondering, by the time you get to the studio, is everything typically written, or do you ever like get creative and you just like jam out a song, like when you're in the studio? Like do you have other guys come in and typically come up with the music first, or what's the process?
Yeah, the songs are normally completed before we go into the studio.
Oh, okay, wow. And so this album that you have now, I think just came out last week. Forget Me Not. I think it's got 9 songs on there. I was curious, was everybody in the same room recording at the same time, or did everybody do it the modern way, which is where you go in and every guy does his part separately?
They were different, doing separately.
Oh, okay.
All individual, yeah.
And so, talking a little bit about the history of the band, I was curious, what year was the band formed?
The band was formed, well, the current version of the band was formed in 2015, I want to say.
2015. Okay, and is this?
No, excuse me, 2016.
Okay, so I was curious, is this the first album you guys have released, or did you have a previous release?
This is the first album we've released. We released like EPs and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And our sound has changed drastically over each project that we've released.
And so I know you guys are signed to Pavement, and so people actually, if they want, they could get a physical copy of the CD. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can hit up our website if they want a physical copy. We're actually we have a limited run, so we only got like 30 of them left.
Oh wow!
We're not going to press up any more of this version of the album after this.
So like, will there be a deluxe version or something released down the line, or does it kind of?
No. This is it. So, if there's any physical copies, they'll be just regular CDs. But as far as these are special, everybody's signing them.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
So there's a special edition, but there's only 30 of them left. So.
Wow.
And something special. So.
That is cool. Now, talking about Pavement, you guys got you're signed to a great label, and for people who know nothing about the label, I really dig the label because the bass player. The bass player from what's the band's Tim King. It's this guy's label, and what I dig about it is that the label's owned by a guy who's an actual musician. He's kind of lived the life, so he's signing all these acts and he's giving them. It's a great and it's not just an all metal label. You got acts like you guys. You got there's something on that label for everybody, which is what I dig, and I think just with the roster of artists you guys got on that label, I think you'd be able to do shows with any number of artists that is on that label.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah. And so how did you hook up with Pavement? Did they come to you? Did you send them a package and they kind of like what they heard?
Actually, I sent them Core.
Wow.
Our first single off of our album when we were close to completing it, and just coming out of the studio, and Tim hit me back and said he liked it. Do you have anything else? And I said, yeah, we're finishing up our album, we're going to be releasing it soon. And he said, well, if you could hold off on releasing the album, we can release it. So we ended up doing this partnership deal with Pavement, and that's how this all came to be.
And when you guys signed, I was curious, did they sign you for like any certain number, like is it a 2 or 3 album deal, or does it just kind of depend on how this sells and then go?
Yeah, I think it's more or less how this album does, how it plays out, how it spreads or whatever. So it's like a deal of one album and an option.
Oh, okay.
Currently, that's the model that we have set up here.
And so, I know it's unfair to ask because the album just literally came out last Friday, I believe. But so far, what has been response to the band? I mean, in the last, I guess, just last weekend. Have you been hearing from fans online and stuff?
Oh yeah. People seem to like it a lot. A lot of songs that we didn't think people would necessarily like. They like them a lot. Because we were happy with all the songs in the album, but the songs that we thought people would like a lot, they're not necessarily gravitating to those as much as they like other songs. So it's pretty interesting to see how people are reacting to it. So
yeah, now I know you guys are based out of Dallas, Texas. Is there much of a rock scene there these days?
The rock scene is decent here. It's it's pretty decent here. A lot of Dallas news and media has been focused more so on the current hip hop scene that's here. So the rock scene doesn't get as much love here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the rock scene, at least the bands and stuff are concerned, they're great. Like there's a lot of love for.
And then, like I said, the great thing about We Are Band Nerds is you guys, you guys got death metal, man. You got the metal thing to what you do. You got the rap influence in there, which is great. Now, you said Dallas has a lot of rap bands. So have you guys ever played with any of those acts, or what's that been like? Turning around Dallas.
Well, it's funny, when we first started, we were playing more so with like rap artists and stuff like that. So we'd be the only band that was there, and these rap artists, they would do more or less traditional Southern hip hop. And with no band, it was just the guy up there, and then we go up there and we just slam dancing and bugging out on stage with our band.
Wow.
And a lot of the audience didn't really know how to react to that, so then we started playing with more rock.
Wow, yeah.
In front of a rock audience, and they enjoy what we do. Not to say that the other audience didn't.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of it's kind of jarring to see that on stage. So sometimes we have a hard time finding who it is that we need to be playing with, and we've gotten better at that though. It's
almost like, and it's funny you say that, because that was kind of going to be my next question, which was going to be do you guys ever get any I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but any comments like from other rap acts who do see that they're more traditional, like, hey, you really aren't rap, you guys are you're trying to be everything, but we're a real rap real rap band, you guys aren't, you ever get any of that?
We do. For the most part, people like what we do. It really doesn't matter who it is that we're playing in front of.
Yeah, I guess
people generally like what we do. We don't really get any negative comments from.
Well, that's good.
People.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because because to me, I'm one of these guys that I don't follow the flavor of the month. In other words, like I said, I typically listen to hard rock and metal, but again, I have appreciation for everything. I have appreciation for Aerosmith, the Eagles, Tom Petty. To me, if it's a good song, it's a good song. And if I put the CD in and I like what's coming out of the speakers, that's what I kind of use for my judging if it's good music or not. Not necessarily, well, these bands aren't selling, so I'm not going to quit buying their record and quit supporting the band because everybody else isn't listening to the bands. I hate when people do that. Yeah. And so now we talk about like some bands, like some rap bands I used to love back in the day, but I do have an appreciation for, is like Public Enemy, Run DMC. I think they were two of the classic, traditional, original rap acts. They're still doing it today, especially Public Enemy. But like, I love like when Aerosmith got with Run DMC and they did a remake of Walk This Way, and I love when like Public Enemy and Anthrax got together, and it's like the rap world and the metal world came together, and a lot of those fans you would not expect would dig that, but look how many like maybe Run DMC fans knew nothing about Aerosmith before, and then they recorded that version of Walk This Way, and then all these rap fans now know who Aerosmith is. I just think it's cool when the two worlds, collide like that.
It's cool. It actually goes together really well, which is what's one of the reasons why we do it, because you get to see, like, we get messages from people all the time, from, all over the world talking about, I don't listen to rap, but I love what you guys are doing. And the same thing, people would say, I don't listen to rock, but I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So, it's really cool to see.
And then it's funny because, like, okay, so Public Enemy and Anthrax got together and they did a great rock metal mash of Bring the Noise. Now the cool, and then they two bands even toured together. Now you never think that Public Enemy and Anthrax would be able to have any kind of successful tour together, but yet again, you look at Public Enemy, even though there's really not a metal element to what they do, they are a hard-edged rock rap band, and they're really heavy, intense, and then you get a metal band like Anthrax. It's almost they're pretty much full blown on thrash, and I think that's why that was able to work.
Right.
Yeah. And
I agree.
Yeah. And so let me ask you, touring wise, what are you guys' plans? I was kind of curious if you toured much outside of your local Dallas area, or are you kind of waiting to get hooked up on a tour? What are the plans as far as that goes?
We're actually currently working on a tour right now. It's actually finishing up the dates and stuff like that. So we should be announcing our tour soon. But we're going to be all over the country for a few weeks. So that we're pretty excited about that. Previously, though, or prior to this, we mainly played in Texas, mostly East Texas. That's mainly where we've played in the past.
Wow.
So I'm really excited to start playing other places.
And so, right now, I'd imagine the plan is to take it at least across the United States. That's got to be pretty exciting, like going to other states.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was kind of curious now. You guys, I know, got a Facebook page and that. How much do you enjoy like interacting with the fans, like getting messages from people? I mean, to me, the cool thing about the internet is, like we're talking, there's several places in the world where you guys haven't even toured yet, and yet today as we speak, somebody in a part of the world where you guys haven't even stepped foot in. They're listening to your music. That's got to be a great feeling.
It's an awesome feeling. I'm constantly having to use our Google Translate in order to translate
Different
Polish, German, Russian. So it's a great feeling to see people, interacting with our music and ask, hey, when are you going to come to Poland or when are you going to come to New Zealand?
Yeah, I got to come to you.
Like, as soon as we have enough fans to be able to get out there. So,
wow, that's amazing. And I was kind of curious, like after you guys do a show, do you like to kind of interact with the fans? Like, do they come up to you and that?
Oh yeah, always. We definitely love taking pictures with the fans and talking to them because it's more or less like we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for them.
Yeah.
So it's really important for us to make sure that we communicate and just build relationships with people all over because hopefully these people will be around for the rest of your career essentially. So.
Wow. And I got to ask because I just love people always tell me like when you're forming a band, probably the toughest thing is coming up with the name. And I kind of just love the name We Are Band Nerds. What's the story there? How did you guys come up with that?
We started out as a production group, making tracks for people. So it was Band Nerds Productions.
Oh wow! Okay.
At first.
Yeah.
And then Cross wanted to start performing music live and create our own music for ourselves. So we started out as Band Nerds, and like I said, we were doing like a neo-soulish sort of thing. And then that translated over time and changed a little bit to We Are Band Nerds, and that's now what it is officially. So some of the members in the group were Band Nerds actually. Like the lead singer, he was in band in high school.
Wow. Oh, cool. That's cool. And now, so you guys start out, you said, kind of as a production crew, doing tracks for other artists. So, and then you kind of moved into your own thing, what you're doing now. What was it like to start out kind of like as a studio act to, actually performing live? I mean, what was that transition like?
It was a little rough at first because a lot of the tracks that we would make, they weren't necessarily created for a band. So the transition from that to live band was kind of weird at first. Then eventually we started making music specifically for musicians, and then when we just went more or less hard rock mixed with hip hop, it was really easy. So
and so I guess what I'm asking is like when you're in a studio and you're recording music, it's just you and the guys there, kind of getting creative. But then, like, what was your first show like when you guys went out and you performed these tunes for the very first time? I mean, that had to be kind of because again, you're performing your music, you're on stage though, doing it in front of an audience. I mean, what was the nerve factor like that day?
Well, it's funny. It's funny because I remember one of the first times that me and Brandon Gross actually performed. We were just performing the tracks.
Yeah.
It wasn't a band there.
Oh, okay.
So we were just performing the tracks, and we did this one song off this really, really old project that I will neglect to say the name of.
Okay, yeah.
But we were performing these songs, and Cross was really nervous because he's super nervous on stage performing some of the songs. I love being on stage. Or I've always loved being on stage since I was like 15 years old. So it's natural for me.
Yeah.
But for him, it was a little rough at first, but now he's natural.
Now let me ask you about Brandon. Now, like you said, he was a little nervous at first, but is he one of these guys where it's like kind of like you're watching what he's doing while you guys are up on stage, and you're kind of thinking, hey man, what are you so nervous about? You're great at what you do, you know?
Well, a long time ago it was like that, but now he's crazy. He's just as crazy as anybody else on the stage.
Yeah.
A long time ago, though, when we first started out, it was a little rough for him, but as he started to see the crowd reacting to what he was doing,
his talent kind of really...
He's like a fish to water now, so
well, that's
a lot better.
That's great, but it's like anything in life, you know. The more you do something, the better you get, and of course, the more you practice, the better you get. So now it's kind of interesting to see what this has morphed into from back in those days. So let me ask you, how long was it from that first show till you guys started performing? You know, that you guys decided, okay, we're gonna actually make this a band, and you got the other guys in the band. And what was that first show like? Because I think, you know, being that you and him were just initially the two up there on stage, I mean, you got a backing band now. That gives you a little more, you know, a little more opportunity to kind of entertain the crowd. You got more people there, but more people are on stage, so you have to be more observant about where you're moving around on stage and all that. What was that process like?
It was okay. Around that time, I believe we started writing a little bit more for just the musician. So the music changed a little bit. It was still not, you know, necessarily polished, but for the most part, it was fun.
Yeah.
You know, performing in front of people and them, and you know, reacting to what we were doing. But there were a lot of kinks in what we were doing. You know, people were very amateurish at one point, and we were far from professional at the time, but we were having fun. So
yeah, and so when you're not doing the music thing, I was curious, what do you like to do? Like, do you go do you also enjoy going to movies? What do you do in your spare time? You know, you have any other hobbies?
I love going to the movies, and I'm currently trying to learn Japanese right now. I work out, and I mainly just do like all the behind the scenes band nerd stuff. So I interact with fans, create and edit videos and stuff like that. So that's my thing.
And you guys have speaking of videos, do you have any plans to like release any music videos?
Yeah, we're actually preparing to release a video for our next single.
Which you want to
right now?
Do you want to announce what that is, or you'd rather people?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. And
I want to keep that a secret.
So how involved are you with the videos? Like, do you shoot the footage? Do you direct it, or you all put it? Edit?
Yeah, me in combination with another member of a few other members of the band and some other outside people will help direct and edit. We work with this guy named Todd Little. He's master when it comes to editing and stuff like that. He helps us edit a lot of our videos, stuff like that. So and make them really professional.
Is that something you've always kind of been into?
Yeah, and one of the other reasons why is because of artists like Busta Rhymes and Missy Elliott and the director that they worked with, Hype Williams. I've always been fascinated with how he would edit and direct his music videos, and I'd like, you know, try to incorporate stuff like that whenever we're, you know, making our stuff. So
yeah, and I think it's much much more gratifying and satisfying to, like, when you put something together, like, you don't have a guy, you don't have another video director telling you, this is how we're going to do it. You know, it's better to kind of create the video the way you want to do it, because it's your music, you know?
Exactly. If you can be more hands-on, it definitely helps. So.
And I'm assuming that you and Brandon, when you guys were in the studio, that you produced all this stuff, or did you work with an outside producer?
No, we produce everything we do. We did work with an audio engineer for the mixing and mastering process. This guy named JP that runs The Kitchen. It's a studio out here in Garland, Texas. Oh, okay. He did the mixing and mastering, but me and Cross, we produce everything.
Wow. Well, Tony, I'd like to thank you for taking time to talk to me today. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. The interview probably go up sometime in early April. I'll be sure to let our mutual friend Shauna know, or Barbara, when it gets posted. And I really urge anybody who hasn't had a chance to check this band, which of course is We Are Band Nerds. Especially if you're a rap or metal fan, check out what these guys are doing, because it's really great stuff. And I think if you open your mind maybe and you give it a listen, you're going to really dig what you hear.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Okay, take care, my friend. Bye-bye.